13 brought us games like BioShock Infinite and Assassin's Creed 4, which everyone and their dog played. Before you get stuck into this year's offerings, I'm betting I can suggest a few 2013 games which may have flown under the radar that are worth your attention. I'm Jess McDonald and you're watching The Gist. First up, I am representing all kinds of bias by picking my personal game of the year, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I only noticed this game after a friend of mine played it on Steam and wrote a tiny review raving about it. To be fair, now that it's been pretty recognized on a GOTY level, people are starting to take notice, but if you're still in the dark about this one, then listen up. The story is about two brothers who embark on a journey to help their ill father. Each brother is allocated a thumbstick and an action button, and it's up to you to make sure they work together to complete puzzles and move forward through whatever and whoever they encounter, as the world gets darker and more corrupt and the trials extend from bothersome to life-threatening. The game world is beautifully detailed, the story oscillates seamlessly between joy and tragedy, and it's the kind of game that will stick with you long after you've finished it. Guacamelee seemed to explode onto the gaming scene back in April with its pun and punctuated title, and then sort of seemed to simmer down really quickly. The PS3, Vita, and PC dwelling action platformer is as Mexican as you'd expect and pushes beyond the boundaries of its genre by incorporating a melee combat option as well as a co-op campaign, one of my favorite phrases in the gaming world, and a dimension switching mechanic. It's pretty much exactly as cool as it sounds. The player goes between the living world and the dead world as the luchador protagonist who quests to save his one true love and rescues the world from peril in the process. Alongside all that, the Super Metroid-esque platformer is short, but like a roller coaster, is still totally worth the ride. Next up is a game you'll either put down immediately from boredom or not be able to stop playing. Don't Starve embodies quirky and then takes it all the way away until you can't see it anymore, but that's kind of an awesome thing. Like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, you won't be hearing the dialogue spoken in any language you recognize, but the knowledge that the survival of a floppy-haired gentleman scientist hangs in the balance will keep you mindful of your decision making. Has anybody ever asked you what you would do first come zombie apocalypse? Find shelter, gather food, get a weapon? Well, in Don't Starve, you need to make that call. So you're more likely to get eaten by giant spiders or chased by an ostrich than zombies, but the point still stands. It's up to you to use daylight to gather food and decide how you'll prepare for nightfall, and then enjoy the pitch black of that and try not to get eaten. Or more importantly, don't starve, as the game rather blatantly suggests. The giant open world, plus its charm and the desire to hold on for just one more night, will make this one hard to put down. Just try not to die. Another one of my favorites from this year, which didn't seem to quite get the recognition that it deserved, was The Swapper. The puzzle platformer has a few key issues with balancing difficulty, but it looks lovely and the developing story never makes it feel like a meaningless string of puzzles. The tone of The Swapper is relatively somber. You're on a mostly abandoned space station with nothing but a cloning tool in hand, which places copies of you that you can then swap into. Escaping death is just a matter of swapping out at the right time, and puzzles are generally a careful calculation of maneuvering and planning your moves backwards. In this classical story of nothing being quite what it seems, it's not just the puzzles but also the ethical dilemmas which become more difficult and muddied as the tale goes on. This is a serious must-play. Yet another excellent side-scroller which quietly slunk by towards the end of this year was the dark and mad world of Puppeteer. You play Kuduro, a boy who is now a puppet and unfortunately is a little headless. Luckily, there are substitute heads that the boy can find to replace his own, which, as you'd expect, give him unique abilities. The plot is peppered with goddesses, moonstones, and magical scissors, so if it's a lovely fantasy world you're after, then look no further. Puppeteer is as imaginative as it is rare. It's a side-scroller that is like nothing you'd expect from a side-scroller, a hero story that avoids the stereotypical and dull characters that often plague the genre. Obviously, the mechanics are sharp and the level design integrated with unique features keeps the platforming fresh. Did you manage to get your hands on one or more of these games throughout the year, and what did you think of them? Do let me know in the comments or on my Twitter where I'm at Jess McDonald. Be sure to leave any more of your well-loved games from last year which didn't quite get the recognition they should have deserved. I'm Jess McDonald and I will see you again next week.